All right, Chase, can you hear us?
Yep, you got me.
We got you. Nice Atlanta Braves hat there.
Yeah, hey, it's playoff season.
All right, well, let's start with questions. We're going to take our first question from Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Chase, I wanted to ask you about Jimmie Johnson. And I know you obviously weren't competing against him when he won his 5 titles in a row, but I'm curious if there's anything that you've seen from being his teammate that makes you think, oh, yeah, that's why he was able to win 5 in a row.
Yeah, man, that 5 in a row thing was unbelievable. I watched it for sure and was around there when he won his 7th. So I could imagine what it felt like for to lose to him 5 times in a row as a competitor. But yeah, I mean, Jimmy's just I don't know. I know everybody says it all the time about how good of a guy he is, and on the racetrack and off the racetrack. But he just has everything prioritized the right way. I feel like his work ethic is extremely high. He's a very competitive person, but he's competitive in his own way. He's not a kind of guy that's picking fights every week. He's just the kind of guy who just wants to beat you, and I think that's why it rubs so many of his competitors bad over the years, because he was just better than they were, and they were better as a team, but he wasn't flaunting it all the time, or getting up in people's faces about it. He just kind of carried himself well and competed at a very high level for a very long time. And just the way I see him as a teammate and how great of a leader he is, I can totally understand where that success came from.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Chase, I'm wondering, how do you get out of this round of 8 that you've been in 3 times before? And is your team focused or doing anything to get you past past this roadblock?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we're not going to try to reinvent the wheel. So that's number one. I think, another thing that we don't want to do is just get too far off the beaten path. I feel like for us, when we've been at our best and we're all, as a team, myself included, performing it at the level that we're all capable of doing, I feel like we've contended with the best of the series this year, in my personal opinion. And I think we're capable of doing that again. So from my situation, I'm just trying to sit back and trying to do exactly that, trying to perform at the level that I know we can. And I think if we perform at that kind of level, I think that we can move on and give ourselves a shot. So, just trying not to get trick or smart or reinvent things, I think is the best way for us to move on.
Is there one track in this round that particularly concerns you?
Well, Texas has been abysmal, as you all know, for us since the repave. So, I mean, that one for sure sticks out. I'm not, thrilled about going there, but the people who win a lot of races and win championships don't have bad racetracks, and that's just the facts. Kevin and Denny and those guys who have been winning all these races this year, they can win about every week. So that's kind of where we need to get to, and I think that's been where I feel like some of our issues have been over the years, just a little inconsistency, and I think cleaning up those bad racetracks is a thing that we have to do. And it's something I think we're capable of doing. We just got to hit on something there at Texas and eliminate bad tracks, and I think we'll be fine.
Thank you, Chase.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Dan with Sporting News. Go ahead, Dan.
Hey, Chase, with Clint Bowyer announcing his retirement last week, would you be able to reflect on sort of the energy and exuberance he's brought to the sport and, his legacy with the game?
Yeah, well, I think Clint's he's obviously a very loud individual, and he's a very competitive guy all at the same time, but he's certainly the life of the party, always has been. I think his attitude and his just the way he is has really, I think, made a lot of fun for a lot of people over the years in certain environments. So I'm going to miss that about him. He can make light of a very serious situation sometimes, which sometimes that's what people need. But yeah, he's interested to see how he does. I think he'll be a great addition to the booth or wherever they put him, I guess. And I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
Do you have a favorite specific memory of him?
I can't say I do. Clint's not a guy. I'm not best buddies with Clint or anything along those lines, and I've never been his teammate or anything. But yeah, I feel like I see him at events that we have to do with the other drivers, but that's really about it. So at those type of things, he seems like a fun guy. All the things that you see on TV, I think that's very much his personality. But I don't know that I know Clint well enough to give you a good story.
Thanks, Chase.
You bet.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead, Jordan.
Chase, a couple questions. Looking at the past few years and not being able to make it to the championship four, is there anything you can take from those experiences that you're applying this go around?
Yeah, I think much like what Jenna asked, for us, we're just trying to build on what we have, and get better and not try to recreate or redo things or do things different. I feel like our approach is plenty good enough to compete and be a contender. We just have to improve in certain areas, and I think inconsistency has been a problem. We want to be able to win races, but we want to be able to win races everywhere. And I think there's been certain tracks over the years that have stood out consistently year after year that have kept us from having good runs in places that we kind of go, not the most excited about going to. And that's just not, you just can't have that. The people who win all the time, the people that are champions, the people that contend every week don't have bad racetracks, and they have an opportunity to win every single week. And we all know that. It's not something that's out of the realm of possibility. If you want to be a top dog in this deal, you got to be able to win every week. And that's just the way it's been. And I don't see that changing.
Are you feeling more pressure, either internal or external, to make the championship four?
Personally and as a team, we want, there's nothing anybody outside of myself or my team is going to say to me to make me want to win a championship more. So that should answer that.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Alex with the Charlotte Observer. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, Chase, thank you. I have two questions. The first is a little bit off of Bob's, but with Jimmie leaving the organization, he's obviously kind of seen as this leader that will also be leaving. And I'm wondering if you feel like there's going to be sort of that void in leadership, and if so, you're trying to fill that role.
Yeah, I'm not. I think from my perspective, I'm certainly not trying to replace Jimmie. And I feel like everybody kind of has their own way of leadership and their own way of carrying themselves. I'm certainly not Jimmie. And I'm not ever going to try to act like I am. So, he is just such a stand-up individual. He's the kind of guy that you want on your team. He's the kind of guy to look up to as far as how he leads his life off the racetrack with his family, just the whole 9 yards. But from a leadership perspective and trying to fill that role, I don't know that I'm going to be very productive in trying to be be him or try to fill that. I think the best thing I can do is be myself. I think there's a lot of attributes that he has taught me over the years that I can carry forward and maybe make myself better, maybe make me a better race car driver, maybe make me a better person. But I'm certainly not going to try to fill anybody's shoes or fill a role.
Mm-hmm. And then my second question, I know this has been asked a lot over the course of the season, but now that we're down to the final 4 races, is there more, concern about, COVID-19? Is there more pressure to make sure that you're staying in, not going out anywhere, to make sure you don't catch this in these last, 4 races?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, just practicing all of the things that they tell us to do, every day is the best thing you can do. It's a difficult thing to just completely avoid the world and avoid people, especially when you have to travel from state to state. We have a lot of traveling coming up for these final races. So I think it'll be important to practice those things, try to wash your hands and be as safe and as clean and, sanitary as possible. And from that perspective, I think that's really all I can do. And hope for the best.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Chase, in your mind, what type of validation, if that's the right word, does a championship provide a driver?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't necessarily know that when you're on the hunt for one or you've never done it before, I'm not sure I'm thinking about the validation it's going to give me on the backside. I think I'm really just thinking about that being the goal, that being what I want to achieve, being that next step or the next thing that our team wants to go and have a shot at and trying to make the Final Four. So I'm not sure I feel like that's something you kind of reflect on after you do something like that. I'm not sure you really know what it feels like or what validation it might give you internally unless you've achieved it, which I obviously have not. So I think that's more of a back end question if you can ever get there.
And one other thing, since you're wearing the Braves hat and obviously paying attention to the playoffs, I'm curious, as an athlete, what do you see as similarities between what you're going through in the playoffs and what the Braves are, or what, like, say, the Lakers went through here recently? Do you, as an athlete, pay a close attention, or when you're watching those events, that's more of a relaxation and you're not trying to get things from other athletes or other teams?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. I try to learn and I think it's a great thing to sit there and watch certain players, how they handle adversity, how they deal with, bad times, or how some guys can deal with being really good for a long period of time and how they can continue to sustain that type of performance over a long haul, and how they deal with the media, all those small things I think you can learn from. And I enjoy watching the sport. Obviously I'm a Braves fan and they have a game today, and that's why I'm wearing the hat. I'll be honest with you, I forgot I had this media availability day, but I am sponsored by Napa. If anybody doesn't know, they were on our car this past weekend, but I think you can learn from that kind of thing and whatnot too. So as much as I enjoy watching, I do try to learn.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, we're going to take one final question before we let you go, Chase, and we're going to go to Woody Kane. Go ahead, Woody.
Hey, Chase, I'm right there with you, man. On the rounds thing that Jenna was mentioning earlier, can you describe, you mentioned Texas earlier where it's been a struggle, but Martinsville hasn't been a top 5 earlier this year, a runner-up a year ago there. The difference between this round and the more traditional nature of it versus the last round with the Roval and Talladega mixed in, your comfort level with this round and the tracks?
Yeah, I feel like this round has kind of had a similar look to it over the past few years. Certainly Phoenix had been in there, like you mentioned, but Texas has also been in there, which has been a poor racetrack for us. So, I feel like the same challenges are still kind of in this round as what they have been, if that makes sense. So I don't necessarily have I don't think it has a different complexion from what we've seen in the past few years or the past couple years. But yeah, I definitely think it's going to be tough. You got to execute these races, and like I said, you got to eliminate those bad tracks. You can't have them, and hopefully we can get things going at Kansas and have something to build on for Texas. But a week at a time, and focused on Kansas right now.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, Chase. Well, we appreciate you joining us, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Cool. Appreciate it.